Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Elisa and today I'd love to talk with you about my spring knitting plans. So I'm super excited about this video because spring is finally here. I love cold months, but I also enjoy spring so much because it's really summer in Italy is really unbearable, but spring is truly like the season where you can just go out for a walk and enjoy nature, enjoy the warm weather without being too hot. And so it's also the perfect time to show off your spring knitted garments. And I'm just so excited for this spring because I really feel that this year I really have I really have enough knowledge, if I can say so, to knit myself some garments that will be really functional and fun to knit also in spring finally. So first of all, I would like to start saying a big thank you for those of you who donated me something through Ko-fi, because that was pretty weird. I didn't expect that people would have really helped me through that channel, via that channel, but that was incredible. I can't believe that out there are people who are willing to support such a small channel as mine, and this makes me really grateful and happy about the community that I have found through knitting. Second of all, I would like to address the issue of the previous video. I had posted that I made a mistake and I posted the unedited video. A lot of you told me that that was fine, that because I know, fortunately, I don't have to cut and edit. I don't have to heavily cut and heavily edit when I prepare my videos. Still, that annoyed me so much, and I was really annoyed with myself and somehow also angry with myself. But I know that mistakes happen, and I usually check all of the videos that I post on YouTube before, of course, going live. But sometimes life gets in the way, and that was the case for the previous video. So I'm sorry if that bothered you, but I can tell you that I will be even more careful from now on. At the same time, I know that I can't be perfect, that this is just an hobby and this is not my job, so I shouldn't be too angry with myself. I shouldn't be too bothered. I'm sorry, and I will try not to repeat this mistake, but mistakes happen. I'm human, and you learn from your mistakes, and this is what I'm going to do. But that's enough for the introductory stuff. Let's start with my spring knitting plans. First of all, I would like to address the issue of my winter knitting plans, because I can learn from my mistakes, as I told you just now. So if you remember that video, I told you that I wanted to knit exactly 10 items among clothes and accessories, and that was definitely too much. Probably I had set such a goal for myself because I was used to, knitting without having a job and without having to worry about going outside of the house and having a job which takes around 7-8 hours of my day, and that's too much right now. So I had set myself the goal of knitting 10 items between garments and accessories for myself during winter, but actually I ended up only knitting, I think, 3. And this is of course also because I accepted the commission of the sample knitting for Cardiff Cashmere. So actually I've knit 5 garments, which is already a lot. So I have here my list of the patterns that I wanted to make during winter. You know, there will be some sort of image with all of them appearing here, and I'll tell you only the ones that I ended up making, which are the Traveler's Cardigan by Yosetta, the bosom sweater by Egyo Knits, even if I will have to frog that and reknit it, and now I don't really know if I'll make it this spring or if I'll leave that for autumn, because you know, warm weather, it's becoming really hard to work with Aran white wool and mohair. Then I'm in the process of finishing my Harlow sweater by Kadri, and actually I also knitted a pair of mittens, even if it's not the pair of mittens that appears here, because instead of the Fisherman's mittens by Liv Ulven, I've knitted the Saga mittens by Slavi Thompson, which was a really nice pattern, really fun pattern, and I really enjoyed making those. So what I learned from my winter knitting plans is that I put in there a lot of patterns that I really want to make, like for example the porcelain sweater, the sarong sweater. I still love those garments, but they're very entertaining, let's say. They require a lot of mental space, I think, and at this time of my life I don't have that much mental space to do them, and also I don't have that much time, also because I think, okay, if I start working on my first colorwork sweater right now, it's going to be really hard to knit anything else, because I will put all of my efforts in that garment. So I'd say that one thing that I learned is certainly that I had that I will probably need to have smaller plans, in a sense that less garments, and I will have to consider also the techniques that these garments would include. So considering, for example, a lot of stockinette pieces, a lot of maybe garments with a larger gauge than fingering weight yarn or sport weight yarn. So I'd say that in the end, all of the garments that are put in there will probably go to my autumn or winter knitting plans for 2024, because I still love them and I still want to make them, and I also have the yarn to make them. But this spring I'll definitely change something in the structure of my plans. So let's start talking about these spring knitting plans for 2024. So first of all, I will have 2 concepts that will be my main, inspiration for my spring. First of all, I'd say color, because I really enjoyed working with a lot of neutral shades during winter and autumn, but right now with spring I really feel the need to use all of these blues, greens, and pinks. I love pinks, I love wearing pink, and I think that pink really suits me. And second of all, I will prefer layering. Like, layering is a concept that I really enjoy in my outfits, especially because of the weather here in Italy, because sometimes, for example, in this period when I wake up in the morning and I have to go catch my train, it's still a bit chilly, but then in the afternoon it can reach like 20 degrees and I'm sweating. If I am wearing a sweater, I'm also sweating, and this is something that I don't like. I don't like to sweat my woolly garments. So yes, definitely this layering will be the main concept of my spring knitting plans. Also, I would like to try out knitting with slightly, bigger gauge and more flowy textures. Even if you will see that in my knitting plans, I will consider also some negative ease garments, because I really enjoy those next to skin sweaters. I think they are beautiful for layering indeed, and also to be put together with cardigans in a nice outfit, a nice and curated outfit. I will divide my spring knitting plans into garments category, and you will see that I did not consider a huge number of patterns, just because I want to be as much realistic as possible. I know that I will probably have a job throughout the spring, and of course I will have some little breaks here and there, but definitely I want to give myself also the possibility of adding something which comes outside, which is which comes later on in spring, because I can see that there will be a lot of great patterns which will be published during spring. So let's start with my spring knitting plans, and let's start with sweaters. And I actually only have one sweater that I want to knit during this spring, and this sweater is the Cognac sweater by Atelier Castan. So I discovered this pattern through the Woolly Worker Knitting podcast. If you don't know Vanessa, you should definitely go check out her YouTube channel, because I think she's great. I think she is she has such a curated channel. She's so precise. She is, I think about myself and my channel as a sort of mixture of everything that's in my head, just put there in a sort of nice order, but she is really super organized, and probably this is what I love about her channel, because she has all the organization that I will never have in my life. So Vanessa recently published a video about projects that you can make with 2 skeins of hand-dyed yarn, and she made me discover this beautiful Cognac sweater by Atelier Castan, which is this sweater. I think the construction is English tailoring, and if you've watched my most recent videos, the one about Cardiff Cashmere commissioning me some sample some garments to sample knit, and my episode 12 of my knitting podcast, you will have seen that I've knitted the poppy tee, which has exactly the same construction, and I fell in love with that construction and how it fits me and my bust. I think it's perfect for my, body construction, let's say, for my type of body. And so I'm really interested in creating some more garments for myself using English tailoring. And a cognac sweater does that. I'm not sure that this construction is called English tailoring. I don't really know much about sweater construction, but I've heard from other podcasters that this type of construction, the type of construction of the poppy tee, but also of the Eva cardigan, it's called English tailoring. And what I also liked as soon as I saw this pattern is also that it's easily modifiable. So you can, for example, do ribbing, but you can also substitute ribbing with I-cord to have a slightly more blouse look. I think, I don't know if you can see what I mean. What I also enjoyed is the fabric that it creates, that the gauge creates, because it's requested to use a fingering weight yarn plus held together with a lace weight yarn, so probably fingering weight yarn plus some mohair, but the gauge you are creating is 16 stitches per 22 rows in stockinette stitch, which means like an iron weight, a worsted weight gauge. And as soon as I saw this pattern, I immediately thought about some yarn that I have had in my stash for ages. And I'm talking about these two. Okay. So this one is all scarn super soft in the colorway truffle. I don't know if my camera will catch these, but this colorway has so many great hues and shades and variations throughout it. It's a browny beige, but inside it I can see also some like blues and let's say yellowy speckles and details, and it's dyed in the yarn, I guess, because it's really there are no speckles, there are no flecks, it's really dyed in the yarn. And I actually bought the first year I started to knit, and I had bought also these Gazal Super Kid Mohair to go with it. So I didn't know much about mohair and stuff, but I bought this yarn, which is 22% polyamide, 31% superwash merino fine, and 47% super kid mohair. So this is not the best because it has some polyamide in it, but I'm also happy because it doesn't have silk, which is usually, there are some ethical issue connected with silk, the production of silk and the animals' well-being. So in a way, I'm also grateful that this does not contain silk, because at that time I didn't know about the production of silk and so on. If you want, I can link a video by Wool and Twine Fiber Studio in which she explains so well why silk is not always the most ethical fiber available here. And so I swatched for the cognac sweater, and what I got is this beautiful fabric. So as you can see, it's very light and airy, and I think that this is perfect for a spring garment. I must also say that this is not, I'm not on gauge with this gauge, because I think that this one is like I swatched with 16 stitches per 22 rows, but this actually gave me a 9 centimeters per 9 centimeters square. So I know I made some calculations, and now I know that I have to knit size 4 instead of size 2 to get the positive ease that I want, which is like around 15 centimeters. The cognac sweater is designed to have approximately 14 centimeters of positive ease, and this is exactly what I wanted from this sweater. I didn't want a super oversized sweater. I wanted something which is a sort of in between very tight garments and very oversized garments. The sizes available are actually 9, and for a bust circumference that go from 82.5 centimeters up to 165 centimeters, which I think is beautiful. It's perfect. This is not only a very you don't have to use a lot of yarn to knit this pattern, because I will get away with knitting size 4 with just 4 balls of these whole scarn super soft and 4 balls of these Gazal Super Kid Mohair, and this is also very size inclusive. Yeah. So I think that this one is a great pattern, which actually doesn't have a lot of projects on Ravelry, only 28, but I'm ready to, try it out and tell you what I think. I think that this will be the next garment that I will cast on, just because I don't want to knit a sweater with mohair, maybe in May or June. I think that March and April will be perfect. And so this is probably the only sweater that I will knit during this spring, but as I was telling you, I will leave some space. I don't have a lot of plans, just because I want to leave some space for impulsive cast-ons and stuff. Okay, let's go to blouses. I don't have a lot of blouses, and this is something that I really want to change in my wardrobe. I think that the only blouse that I have is this one, which I'm wearing, which is a cumulus blouse by Petit Knit. I really enjoy the light and airy texture that this one have. I knitted this one in brushed alpaca silk by Drops, and I really enjoy this one. It's a little bit, you know, it's peeling a little bit, but for the wear that I got out of it, it's completely normal, I think. I'm wearing this a lot because I love the flowy look that it gives. I usually tuck it into my pants, and I also enjoy the color a lot. It's this very muted orange, I guess, and I don't have anything in this color, but I think it's really nice and it looks nice on me. So I want to change this thing that I don't have a lot of blouses in my wardrobe. And if you remember, last year I fell in love with a pattern by My Favorite Things Knitwear, which is Blouse number 1. At the beginning, when I saw Blouse number 1 for the first time on My Favorite Things Knitwear's Instagram account, I was not convinced. Like, I didn't know why, but I didn't like it. But it grew on me. I don't know if that's English, but it grew on me very slowly, and now I really think that it would suit my wardrobe very nicely. I will probably want to. I don't have yarn for this blouse yet, but this is going to change because my boyfriend is going to Lisbon in the next weeks, and so I asked me to bring me back some yarn from Rosa Pomar, which is probably my favorite yarn shop ever. So I can't wait to show you what I requested, but I will have some yarn for blouse number 1. So let me tell you a little bit more about blouse number 1. It's a simple long-sleeved blouse with a fitted silhouette and a boat neck. The sleeves are fitted with a bit more width at the bottom. The neckline is shaped by working short rows, which help ensure a great fit. Yoke and sleeves are worked using the contiguous method for a seamless finish, and it's worked from the top down. The sizes available go from extra small to 4XL for a bust circumference that goes from 72 centimeters up to 125 centimeters. The suggested ease is a negative ease of approximately 10 centimeters, so I think that I will have to knit size small because I have a bust circumference of 86 centimeters. And what I also love about this pattern is the fact that you can marl together 2 yarns, and that this pattern was thought to have 2 colorways marled together. Also, if you look at the fabric that this pattern creates, suggested yarn is knitting for olive pure silk. If you look at the texture and the fabric that is suggested here in the picture, you will see that it's not too, how can I say, it's not too full, it's not too warm, I think. I can see a really hairy texture despite the fact that it should be worn with a negative ease. I also love the colorways, the colorway that My Favorite Things Knitwear chose for her blouse, and this really helped me choose maybe a bolder colorway than what I'm used to, and so I think that I will go with a very bright green. I really love that trend of limey green that we have been seeing since last year, and I really want something in that limey green too. So you can expect this one from me. The gauge is 19 stitches per 27 rows, and as I was telling you, you should put together 2 strands of pure silk by Knitting for Olive. But you can, you know, the fun thing about Knitting for Olive is that they have 3 yarns which are completely, you know, comparable to each other, and so you can substitute pure silk with, for example, merino from Knitting for Olive to have a slightly cheaper garment, and maybe also a warmer garment, so that you could also transform this blouse number 1 into a sort of sweater. So I see this blouse number 1 as a sort of bridge between my sweaters and my blouses. Okay, talking about blouses, it's time for me to show you the Barbara blouse. Like the Barbara blouse, I fell in love with this pattern as soon as I got into knitting and saw this garment, because I think it's beautiful. But I've never knit this one, and I've never included this one in my plans, because I think it's a really hard and complicated pattern, but now I think I'm ready. So this pattern is also included into a book that I actually own, which is the Knitting for Olive book, and it's knitted in Knitting for Olive merino. The gauge is 20 stitches per 40 rows in the stitch pattern of the blouse, and yeah, I think it's beautiful. It's knitted with 3mm needles, so this will make a perfect light garment for spring, but at the same time, I think a labor of love. Yes, definitely. What I love about this pattern is definitely the lace. You know, when I'm a very neutral and simple girl, but when spring comes, I love knitting myself something with lace and lacy details, and I think that this one is perfect. I already own the pattern, so probably this is going to be a must between maybe a long-term project which will bridge between spring and summer, but I definitely want to knit this one. The sizes available are 10, which is incredible if you think about the complexity of this lace pattern. And the chest circumference goes from 72 centimeters up to 144 centimeters. I love the fact that this is really elegant, lacy, very dreamy and romantic, and for this reason I would love to knit this one in a very romantic and dreamy color, and what's best than pink. So the yarn I thought to use is this one. This is Araucania Yarns Natural Inspiration from Chile, and this is Botany Lace. I think it's beautiful. So this yarn was gifted to me by my boyfriend's aunt for my graduation, as I was telling you in my yarn stash tour. And I think that this colorway is simply me, because it's very, it's a very saturated pink, but at the same time it's not super, it's not like a punch in the face, I would say. It's very modest at the same time, and I really enjoy wearing colors like this. Actually, the problem would be the fact that this is called Botany Lace, so I think it's a lace weight yarn, even if the suggested gauge is 29 stitches per 10 centimeters, so this is actually very close to Knitting for Olive merino. And yeah, I just love the color. This yarn, for this yarn, in a 100 gram skein, you get 410 meters. So yeah, as you can see, it's really close to Knitting for Olive merino. Also, now that I'm looking, for example, at the strand here, I think that yes, it's very similar, maybe a little bit more bouncy, but it's a little bit bouncier than knitting for olive merino, but I can definitely see that we have a possibility here. And I'm thinking about this yarn especially because of the color and because it's a very special yarn, and I want to make something special with a special yarn, of course. Actually, we have, I haven't swatched for it because I'm undecided with another pattern, because one of you guys gifted me a pattern from my wish list, and this was a pattern that I really love because I've never seen anything similar in the knitting community, and it's the Birkin Polo by Pendler Strick. Okay, the Birkin Polo is this beautiful polo shirt, negative ease garment with ribbing, 2x2 rib. I think it's beautiful. I think the fit is amazing. I love the color, and you know, I told you that I really enjoyed knitting the color for the Elizabeth blouse by Petit Knit, but I didn't like the fit of the entire blouse on myself, and I really think that having this one with that beautiful color, shirt color, but a different fit, which is negative ease fit, could really be the perfect combination for my wardrobe. And now the problem is that I think that this yarn could also fit beautifully this Birkin Polo, and the fact that one of you guys bought me this pattern and gifted me this pattern is really making me think that I should use this special yarn for that. Or actually, I could buy some yarn, because I already have, you know, you will see that my knitting plans for this spring already take into account the fact that I want to use a lot of my stash yarn. But definitely I can see myself wearing that Birkin Polo in this yarn. Talking about the gauge is 30 stitches per 38 rows, of course in 2x2 rib, and the suggested yarn is Gepard Garn My Fine Wool or Gepard Garn Cotton Wool 3 Organic. So I'm also tempted to buy some of Gepard Garn yarn because they are not available here in Italy, but I know they're really good and I'm really curious to try them out. This is not a really a size inclusive pattern as the previous ones, but I've seen worse. It has 6 sizes for a bust circumference that goes from 72 centimeters up to 109. So this is not the best, but you should consider that, of course, you have negative ease with this pattern. I really enjoy the fit. I think this would look beautiful with a very, neutral color as the one that is shown here. But I'm coming into spring. I've already told you that I really enjoy colors. So maybe a nice blue, like for example, the Dusty Dove Blue by Knitting for Olive. I think that would be great. That would be super nice. And maybe I could knit another one in a very neutral color for autumn when I can use these as a layering piece again. I also love this garment because I think it's perfect for layering. Maybe in the mornings I could wear this beautiful Birkin Polo with, of course, a jacket or, for example, a blazer or also a cardigan over it. But then during the day when it's getting hotter, I could just wear that alone because it would be either merino wool, made in merino wool, or in a merino plus cotton blend. And so I know that that would be perfect for, Italian spring. Then we should go into, probably my favorite garment. I really think that a lot of people always tell me that I have great tastes when it comes to vests and slipovers, but I think that this is just because I love wearing shirts. So I have a lot of shirts in my wardrobe and I love wearing vests and slipovers over them. And so I couldn't not knit a vest for this spring, and the yarn that I selected here is again a yarn that I've had in my stash for a year now, I think. So it's again Holzgarn. We have Holzgarn Super Soft. I don't remember the color, but I will put it on the screen. Held together with this Titicaca in the colorway Pegasus, I think. Yes. Which, you know, this is a lace weight alpaca, which is very thin and it's very soft, and it really helps soften up this Super Soft, which is usually very harsh and very dry. I've already swatched for this, and with this one I want to make a Stockholm slipover with the one with a rounded neck, because there's also the V-neck by Petit Knit. I know that this one is a very classic and very well-known design, but really I spent so much time browsing Ravelry with other patterns that are similar, and I've only found something by My Favorite Things Knitwear. The only problem is that I already own a pattern, a vest pattern by My Favorite Things Knitwear, and I really wanted to try something new, something else. I know that Petit Knit is nothing new, but really that was the only pattern that really convinced me. I really enjoyed the fabric that Petit Knit gets with this gauge, and I think that my fabric here with the with the gauge is really similar, and yeah, I just love the fit. Probably also the pictures, they're very nice pictures. It simply convinced me, and I want to knit this vest. The color is something really different from me. I don't usually go for very cold colors, let's say. Usually my palette is more on the warmer side, but I think that it will be nice to have something different. I think this is going to pair so well with my brown trousers, and I can't wait to try this vest with brown trousers. This is probably going to be another pattern that I will cast on very soon. And yeah, I think that this light blue could go very well also with my dark blue jeans. Talking about this pattern, of course, you will see that the Stockholm slipover vest is worked from the top down. First, you knit the back, and then, of course, you pick up the sleeves, you create a collar, you go down, you join at the underarm, and then you go on. Sizes go from extra small up to 5XL, and they are intended for a bust circumference that go from 80 centimeters up to 150 centimeters, so pretty staple Petit Knit patterns. If there's one thing that we can tell about Petit Knit is that her patterns are really size inclusive and precise when it comes to sizing, I guess, or at least from what I can tell. I think that I usually knit for myself a size small by Petit Knit, but usually I prefer a little bit more of positive ease with vests. This vest is indeed intended to be worn with a positive ease of 6 centimeters, which is a little bit too tight for me. So I think that I would size up to size medium to have a positive ease that will be around 15 centimeters or 14 centimeters, just because I'm more comfortable with that. Of course, I'm not it's a pretty easy and stable pattern, so I'm not afraid of changing something in the pattern to make the collar be a little bit more fitted than a size medium, because that would probably fit me better. So this is probably, at least for the upper part, this is probably going to be a very entertaining knit, just because I will have to do some knitting maths, I think. So nothing more to say about this pattern really, because it's really staple Petit Knit. It's a really staple garment, but you should knit something fun, but as I was telling you, you also need to have some backup, very staple garments that are really simple and easy to knit for those periods in your life when you're all over the place because of work, because of life, and knitting will be just a sort of therapy somehow. So now we are going to the last category, which is that of tops. And I only have one top that I really want to make because this designer was also included in my video about designers I want to knit a pattern from in 2024. I really want to make the Papyrus top by Maria Isaeva or Ulla Knitwear this spring. This beautiful top is really very simple. It has a sort of this neck is not really high, but it makes me think about a tank top. I love how the sleeves are actually more fitted than others, and they don't cover all of your shoulders. I enjoy the fact that these will be a perfect layering piece because it's really more fitted than other tops. So these will be perfect both for spring to be worn with some layers over it, but also for summer, I guess, when I won't be needing any layers over it. The yarn that I've selected for this pattern is this beautiful yarn that I bought at Knit Italia in September, I think, and it's by Snail Yarn. It's organic wool plus linen in this beautiful colorway, which is called Rosa Antico, which means antique rose. The composition of this yarn is 70% organic wool and 30% linen. So this also answers to another of my knitting goals for this year, which was to try out more fibers. I've never knit anything with linen, and I'm very curious to use this blend because I'm learning that I prefer mixing using these blends of summer and winter fibers when it comes to creating spring and summer garments. So yes, I can't wait to use up this yarn. I love the fact that this one is not super solid but very heathered but still very plain, and I don't know, this is really not a color that I'm used to, but I think it's really close to a neutral, or at least in my wardrobe this could be paired with a lot of my stuff. Like, for example, I think that this color would be beautiful with every kind of jeans that I have. So yeah, beautiful, and I can't wait to see how this knits up. The suggested the gauge is 27 stitches per 43 rows in 10 centimeters, and the sizes available are actually 12, which is huge, which is wow. The bust measurements for the garment go from 75 centimeters to 130 centimeters for an actual circumference of garment of that goes from 65 centimeters up to 120 centimeters. So you should wear it with a negative ease. Actually, I was also curious about the original yarn, which is Marilyn by Isager Yarn, but actually I think that I made a good choice because Marilyn, I think it's a blend of merino wool and linen, and so we have here something very similar. I think that this could be probably one of the latest caston of this spring, just because this is super versatile and I could use it also in summer. So I think that what you should expect from myself is me knitting, first of all, the cognac sweater, probably the Stockholm slipover, and definitely blouse number 1. Because long sleeved, of course, I can see blouse number 1 is a super dreamy garment to be worn also maybe on the beach and so on. but this is just in my head because I don't like going to the beach, so I don't know what I'm thinking right now. So guys, these were my knitting plans for this spring. I have 6 garments. I'm actually debating to knit either the Birkin Polo or the Barbara blouse. Probably I will opt for the Birkin Polo because one of you lovely viewers have gifted me one pattern, that pattern, and these, you know, really excited me, and I think that I will enjoy this pattern so much just because of this. So if you want to buy me or gift me some of these patterns, feel free to do that if you have the possibility, of course. My wish list is always linked down below, and yes, this will help me so much, and I already can't believe the huge support that I'm receiving in these months. So that's incredible, and I'm already grateful as I am right now. I included only 6 patterns because you know, there will be some garments that will some patterns that will be released in these months that really I don't know, inspired me. For example, the cloud blouse. Oh my god, that limey green color is exactly what I needed, but I really have to think about that because, you know, another blouse in mohair, that's expensive, and I don't know if I can. Maybe it will go for autumn, but we will see. So guys, if you have some knitting plans for this spring, or if you're excited about one of the garments I've talked about in this sort of roundup of my plans, please write your thoughts down below, because I'm very curious, and because maybe you have some great suggestions and things that I haven't thought about. I'm always happy when some of you reach out to me to tell me something that I didn't notice, and I love this exchange. I love to think about these you know, channel as a space for exchanging ideas and thoughts and things. Probably this video was really messy and all over the place, because I'm actually messy and all over the place at the moment, if you haven't noticed. But I always enjoy filming this video, and I think that this is what counts in the end. So guys, I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, you can give a like to it, and if you're not subscribed, well, you could subscribe to the channel, because a lot of you who watch my videos are actually not subscribed. I can see that from my YouTube stats. In this way you will be updated about when I post videos and write stuff on YouTube. So yes, this will make me very, very happy and excited. We are growing fast, and that's crazy and wonderful. So yes, thank you for watching today's video. Thank you for listening to me rambling about my knitting plans. And yes, I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye, and happy spring knitting.